This is the official announcement of the supposedly royal princess. All over TV this morning. This is the news. I also want to say this, in conjunction with this, they're talking about the victim that they're going to prosecute, Mr. Gray's murder in Baltimore. And they've got the 6 policemen on bail, I believe. They charged them. And the whole theme has been justice for all. I sit here, I'm 76 years old. The crimes against me on a daily basis have never stopped. They're so horrific. I found out in '83, after I'd been flown out to Larry Flint's in a political campaign to replace a doctor, Congressman Larry McDonald, that I had written about in the medical malpractice book. The plane he was on, the KAL from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea, had veered into Russian airspace and been shot down. Well, I'd written about mind control murders before I ever found out, a long time ago, before I ever found out about being kidnapped in '83. But that's one of the ways that you can take down a plane. You program the pilot to veer off course, or you can program anyone. You can put 2 or 3 pilots up there, or a flight attendant, and it's not going to stop it. You have to address mind control and the use of it, widespread. Now I want to get back to this. I was flown to Flint's, and I'm showing this because Mr. Flint had this. It was an editorial in '84, April, and he says here that I know who's responsible for his shooting. Well, I wrote about that in the medical malpractice, and then in response to that was I had antifreeze put in me April the 1st, April Fool Day of '80. But this has been ongoing. I found out about my kidnapping and my real name, and I look back at the crimes committed against me and my sons and my country, and they're so horrific. And to sit here today, I have put this on Facebook. I hope he's a friend, gave me the video, or gave me the Android so I could upload it, go to social media, since a lot doesn't work for me. And let me remind you here, before I go any further, I wrote about mind control murders where there's lists of them. And I had a letter from the U.S. Attorney Harper in Atlanta, dated on my father's birthday, by the way, the day he was born, June the 23rd. And it was 79, and of course my father was born years ago, I believe 1894. So in the letter it said, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Well, I had so many doctors and people in the book, and about Emory University and Center for Disease Control there, that I knew when I was fearful of antifreeze, I was trying to find out what it was, and it became even more a fiasco. It was horrible. I hope that people have to view my life. It spans. It's a wonder I'm alive. I should have died. And I'm taken by this woman, Lina Dempsey, across the state line back to Huntsville, and she tried to kill me again. She did. I was taken there. I was kidnapped at Buckingham Palace in '41. I was born in '39, and dropped off in Moulton, Alabama, I assume at the air base there, Cortland Air Base, that had just been built in '41. She had killed her twins, Peggy and Carl Dempsey, and I still have to use that name, Peggy Dempsey Childers. And the media had known about my kidnapping before I did, long before, I would imagine, when it happened. And I sit here and I watch these so-called media, and they're making over this. Well, let me go and do this again. My father, Edward VIII, was never married to Wallace Simpson. That's the double she married. My father was legally married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. My mother was the baby. And the whole thing's been a lie, and a 99-year seal put on my father's forced takedown and my birth, Victoria II, heir to the British Crown. To put a 99-year seal on something should tell you an alert button. This is my Uncle George, I hate to say it, Elizabeth's father. The illegal George VI who helped take down my father. He helped the Jews, the Rockefellers and Rothschilds that owns your media, your New World Order, your Freemasons. They helped George, Elizabeth's father, my own uncle, helped take down his brother, helped the New World Order, the Jews take down my father and kidnap me. And Joe Kennedy was ambassador to Great Britain. That's Caroline. She's ambassador to England right now. I mean, that would probably come later. But she's to Japan. Now then, this is 1939, and George, that's the year I was born, he is here with Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. And don't they all look happy? He's sitting there as king when he's a killer and a traitor. And you think they might be planning my kidnapping in 41? I'll say this. The Kennedys, Joseph Kennedy's oldest son, Joe, and JFK, her father, flew into and stayed at the embassy there, even made speech before the Parliament. So there you go. Wonder who put me in the plane. I'm just guessing on that. But I got to Moulton, Alabama, and dropped off somehow, didn't I? And the Kennedys are such a part of it. Now, I'm watching this because I've told the media, I started telling about mind control murders and did the book, and so much happened to me. And the mind control murders were done in patterns, just like this is a later one, the Fort Hood shooter. I've been in Roanoke, Virginia since, I've tried to live since October of '86. I've lived on the Appalachian Trail. They have done everything in the book, and I won't reiterate because it's on all the tapes and everything. The kidnapping of children and everything. They've been done in patterns, and they can be proven. This was the Fort Hood shooter, finished at Virginia Tech. He's a psychiatrist, and he's on death row, I believe, at the moment. And I could go further because there was the 33 that were shot and killed at Virginia Tech. But there's a list of all these murders. And I'm going to tell you what Mr. Flint said to me when I was out there twice at his home in '83. He said when it ends, everybody will try to say they were under mind control, where at the moment and in the past, they'll say you're crazy if you try to talk about mind control. Yet you can YouTube it, Google it, or anything, and you find it. Back when I did the book, you couldn't find it. Of course, I had to, all the research and what I did was on my own. But these were deliberately done in patterns, the ones that I speak of, because mind control is invisible. So it'd be hard to prove, but there's lists of them. I wanted to add this, that Scott Peterson, Mark Geragos defended him, and I like Mark Geragos. I think he's a good attorney. But that's one of them, and you can get into, I'm going to go ahead and put this one up here because this has pretty well got them all in it. I was brought over and given the name of a twin, Peggy, and I still have to use it, and Carl, both of them were killed by their mother, the Dempsey family. Covered it up. And the murder, it was a murder, it wasn't suicide, of the twin Sawyer Sweeten that played on Everybody Loves Raymond. That one pretty much has all the, if you want to call it, codes or patterns in it, and I put it on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. I'll say this: the Aurora, Colorado, what they're doing to James Holmes, he's a victim too of mind control. It has nothing